But I think, certainly the positives were the first, 55 minutes of that game of being able to battle on the road against a team like Iowa State, a very good program, was a positive. Obviously, had some negatives. Penalties, negative for sure. I think we ended up with 9 on offense, including 4 false starts by the guys up front. Punt team was not very good, and it was a multitude of things. I think, we got to get the snap right. We got to get the punch where they need to be punted, and then we got to cover better. Certainly the field position battle we did not win, which was unfortunate. Gave up a fake punt as well to give them another first down, and I think they got 3 points out of that. So, certainly got to do better in that regard. This week, pretty much ditto as last week when you think about going to the Midwest, playing a really good football team on the road at 8 o'clock. So it's a lot of similarities when we look at this. I think 2 programs very similar, Iowa State and Kansas State, 2 of the best programs in the Big 12. Coached very well. Kids play hard. They are coming off a couple of losses as well, but so just like Iowa State was last week. So it's very similar. Obviously have to have a great week of practice and to give ourselves a chance to go try to get this win.
When you get into a game like that where your running game is really controlling what you're doing offensively, how do you keep that rhythm in the passing game? Because it felt like that, like when you needed it on third down, you just weren't able to dial it up and get it back on track.
Yeah, and it was tough. I mean, we mentioned this after they didn't blitz us in that game. Last year when they came here, it was a bunch of blitzes, and they did not blitz this game, dropping 8, keeping guys back. So when you do have some penalties, now it's long yardage. It's very difficult to push the ball down the field when they got 8 guys that are back 8 to 10 yards, and that made it difficult. We did miss a couple throws, and we had a couple drops that I thought were 12 for 18 that certainly would have helped. One of them was a running back, Evan Pryor out of the backfield was wide open. That would have been a touchdown. I mean, that was 79 yards right there that you love to have back. Because that would have put us up 10, right before half. And so, but plays like that, man, those are momentum plays, and you got to be able to hit those plays. But as far as the third downs, and you're looking at, dropping the coverage off and not getting in the rhythm throwing the football, there's certainly something to say for that. If you are throwing it more, they were giving up the run game pretty good for us. I thought Corey ran really hard in the game, had over 100 yards again. Sorsby, I think 141 rushing, his best rushing output, and so we did some positive things with that. But we certainly needed to be able to hit some of those throws to be able to keep the chains moving as well as score the touchdown.
Is their defense similar, and do you expect to see 8 dropped until you solve it?
Yeah, their defense is similar. They're a little bit more aggressive though. The big difference, I think, their run defense is really good. So it's kind of a flip, really, with Iowa State. They're very pressure-oriented, keeping everybody close to the line of scrimmage. They're playing a lot more man coverage in the back end so they can get more hats to stop the run. So I think in that regard it's a little bit different. But structurally, very similar. It's a 3-3-5 defense, and so they can drop 8. That you see that on film, but they also can. They bring a lot more pressure, and they feel more comfortable doing that as well. So it's an outstanding defense. They have a lot of good players. I think they're the 38. Their defensive ends leading the Big 12 in sacks. And so they want to continue to put pressure on you, I think, and that's what they've been known to do defensively.
You look at the stat sheet, X and Joe had 3 combined receptions. Is there kind of a part of what you do where there's parts of your playbook that you want to scheme plays open for them? And is there any idea to do that more often?
Who was that?
X and Joe.
Yeah. I mean, I think those, certainly 2 of our playmakers in the throw game. We, missed a throw to Xavier in the game, which it was the one we actually hit earlier in the game. It was the same play. We just missed it. Then he had a drop late in the game, but yeah, we just didn't go in the game thinking we're gonna throw the ball a lot against Iowa State just because of the structure of defense, and they were one of the top pass defenses in the country and still are obviously. But and then Joe, as another guy, we got to be able to get him the ball. I think maybe 4, 5, 6, 7 catches a game is where he should be at, and just giving him a chance, an opportunity to make plays. I think is certainly something we have to continue to do as we work forward these last 2 games for sure.
Have you by depth issues there with the receivers, with guys you plan to redshirt and then guys that are injured, and or are those just who you're rolling with?
Yeah, we're just rolling with these guys that we have, right now. And I think Xavier ended up with 55 snaps Saturday, this past game. You got to roll with the guys that we feel like give us the best chance to win, and let those guys play. And hopefully we're able to get the ball to them. Obviously, a lot more than we did this past weekend.
Are you seeing the receivers struggle to get open more this part of the season than earlier?
Well, yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's who we're playing. I think it's how their structure, their defense has been. Where they're putting their safeties, and certainly early in the season we had a lot more opportunities. I felt like, but as the season's going on, it's not as much. I think probably the last best game we had throwing was Texas Tech. But I also think Texas Tech's weakness is that pass defense. So I think. Sometimes I think we got to give credit to who we're playing and how their structure is and how they play. How good are they? And like Colorado, to me, they had a really good man-to-man scheme, so we had a hard time getting open. So therefore our completion percentage was not very high. This past weekend, these guys dropped a bunch of guys into coverage trying to deter you from throwing the football, so we took advantage of the run game. So so it's a little bit of both. I think sometimes having problems getting open, but other times I think some of the teams we're playing, their structure is built to stop some of that.
Sounds like they want to run Avery Johnson more,
Yeah.
and then Giddens is yet another top running back you have to stop.
I know, another good running back in the Big 12. So, yeah, he's a guy's already over 1,000 yards, 31. He can go. He's a really good running back. They have a good offensive line too that block really well. And I think the quarterback, he's tall, can really run, has a big arm. It looked like early, maybe in mid-season, because I think he may have tweaked something, against I forget who it was against, maybe Colorado, and so didn't run as much. And I think now probably getting healthy, and they probably feel like he gives them a good chance. Let's try to run him a little bit more. So we'll probably see some of that as well.
Kind of going off my last question, what needs to happen over the next 2 weeks, maybe even the off season, to just kind of go from this team does this well, but we're just going to beat it at the end of the day. Like, we're just going to be better in that area.
Yeah, I think we got to continue to grow and as we move forward, particularly these next 2 weeks, we got to be able to, in the passing game, do a much better job in that and getting the ball down the field. We all feel like that's certainly something that we got to get better at. I think continue to expand on everything that we've done offensively, which we had a solid year. Offensively, we just, missed opportunities, I think. Turnovers the last couple weeks, where Sorsby hadn't been turning the ball over, and he's got 4 in the last 2 games. So that certainly doesn't help you win. We all know that. And if you go back and look at a lot of these games, Kansas State the last 2 weeks, the turnovers is what keeps you from winning. It's just the bottom line. And so you got to take care of the football. I think defensively, trying to figure out ways how we can get the ball back. We have 4 interceptions, which is, I think, last in the Big 12. And, so we got to do a better job with that, as you think about in the offseason, trying to find some guys that can help with that. Is it more pass rushers? So now you put more pressure on the quarterback to get it out earlier, and some better cover guys, so it's just a little bit of both maybe. So those are the things I think, obviously, the weaknesses that we have that we got to get better at.
Tough to make any sense of this league because they lost to Houston, a team that you drilled pretty good. You beat Arizona State. They lost to Arizona State. On the other hand, Kansas State's still a pretty good team.
Yeah. No, you can't. It's so hard to look at any other week. Like, I don't think you can do that this year in college football, like for what you do one week compared to the next week. It's impossible. I think it's really that week. It's matchups between the teams that are different. Some teams match up better with other teams, so I think that's the thing. I think it's also injuries, like when you're playing somebody, who's playing, who's not playing, and then it's also where you're playing and when you're playing. Is it at home? Is it at night? Is it, all those type things. All that stuff comes into play. It's a real thing. I think it's real easy just to sit back and just look at somebody's schedule or just to look at a team and, that team beat that team. But you don't really dive into it. Like, where was it at? Who was playing? Who was out? All those things matter. Who's your schedule? Is your schedule tougher than somebody? So all these things matter. And so, but at the end of the day, you got to look at this 1 week. How do we match up with Kansas State? How can we play better and to go get this win? And I think that's ultimately what it comes down to.
Drive start was their own 41. I think this week it was their own 36 for Iowa State. A lot of that is coming in the punt game, and you're not winning field position like you were early in the season. Right. How do you get that back on track? But obviously Fletch is a great player, but the performance hasn't been there.
No, the last 2 weeks have not been there. He's got to punt the ball better. Bottom line, we got to cover better. But but it starts with the snap, and then the next thing is the punt. We got to get good hang time. Some people think, well, you just boom the ball. Well, that's not necessarily it. We got to get hang time, and we got to get in the spot where our guys are covering. So it all matters. If you punt a low kick and you punt a little bit away from our cover guys, they're going to get some yards. And so a lot of it comes back to that. But that's his job, and he's been outstanding his whole career. So last couple of weeks of uncharacteristic for him. We anticipate him getting it back, and we have to. We'll work on it all this week. His brother will also punt this week, so Max, and so we'll, both of them will get good looks this week. But we have to do a better job with it because it's such a critical part, because it's such a fine line for winning and losing, and whether you're starting on the 41 or compared to the 25, that could be 3 points per drive. That adds up at the end of the day. So we got to do a better job with that.
A red shirt.
He does.
If you want to use it.
That's right. Exactly right. Yeah. So he could play and still redshirt because you get the 4 games. Yeah, absolutely.
Any update on Corleone?
Yeah. I think he's doing better. I think he's, certainly we had several guys that got dinged up in the game, but I think most all the guys are trending in the right way, and hopefully we'll all be available this weekend.
Is there any rhyme or reason to the fault to this week being the week that they struggled with false starts, with procedure-type stuff on the offensive line?
Man, no. We worked on it all last week because we never played at Iowa State. Know how loud it was. So we had the speakers going loud. We had speakers, and we had guys holding speakers in the huddle. that's how we were trying to make it loud. We had the D-line on the scout teams making noises and shifting and moving. We didn't have any issues in practice. We simulated it as much as we could, and get in the game and things happen. And it was 4 different guys. It wasn't just like it's the same person. It was just 4 different guys randomly throughout the day. So I don't know that there's a rhyme or reason for it. It's just we'll continue to work on it and try to get better with it. Because we're putting our offense in some bad situations when that happens.
Late the snap count by having the defense smack somebody on the rear end.
Yeah, we need to do that. We've done that in the past, and we've gotten offenses to jump off sides on that too. So I think it's hard sometimes for the referees to see that, because they think the guy's just moving somebody over, but it actually sounds just like our clap. So that was certainly one of the ones. I think that was John Williams that jumped off on that one.
You'll know more today, but how, after that disappointment, getting the guys home and meeting with them again, kids tend to be resilient, but how were they coming back for this week? Yeah,
I think Sunday, it was – a little bit somber. Everybody's disappointed. I think yesterday, man, great bounce back from our guys. Leadership. We meet with the guys on Monday, our leadership group, man. They were fired up, hungry to get back out on the field this week. Another opportunity, and that's what you want. As I told them, if we're 10-0, 5-5, or 0-10, doesn't matter. This week, none of that matters. It's how you come to work every day, how you prepare this week. How much enthusiasm are you going to have today when we go out there and practice? And I think yesterday, any indication, they'll be ready to go.
Clap is obviously used a lot around college football. What's the philosophy behind doing that instead of just a traditional cadence?
Yeah, I think just because when you're on the road, sometimes it's more difficult to hear a voice cadence and people yelling and talking and all that, but that is distinct sound. And you can be, 80,000 people and you can hear that clap. It's kind of crazy. When we first started doing it many years ago, I didn't really believe it, but it worked. And so I think that's why everybody just kind of jumped to the clap. And, but it's, you can work silent cadence. If you do that, you're a little bit late off the ball up front. You work the cadence with the clap, and then hopefully that is distinct enough where only your guys hear that, and then you're able to go. But obviously there's some issues with it at times. But, but I think, and certainly I feel like it's more on the road than it is at home, for us. But something we'll keep working on. We've been using the clap now probably 6, 7, 8 years, something like that. So it's been good.
You guys always talk to the referees before the game. Is that a lobbying point, I would assume?
Yeah, because I do think there are times where defenses try to do things to make the O-line or offense jump off sides, whether it be shifting, moving, making a yelling a call, and or smacking a guy on the butt to move over. I mean, all those things could affect offenses, and when it does affect the offense, then they're going to do more of it. And I think that's been seeming to happen more and more against us because we are falling prey to that. But I think hopefully, if we eliminate that, you don't hear or see much more of that as we move forward.
The big topics at Kansas State's coach presser yesterday was defenses manipulating the game clock or the play clock. Do you think that's something that will get a look at the end of this year because it's very prominent across the sport?
Very prominent. I mean, absolutely needs to. I understand where it came from and all that. To get if they're subbing, they want to give that defense time to sub. And if you don't, you're catching guys. I liked it when it was before they held it. I mean, if we sub, you better be ready to sub right now, and they better be sprinting on and off. And it'll speed things up, because the way it is now, if the clock gets to 18 seconds and the offense subs, they will get a delayed game if we sub. That's what they're telling us. And so, because they're going to hold it for 3 to 4 seconds, you don't have to sub. And then all of a sudden, right before he comes down, you start subbing, and then they're right back up again. And then they allow you to jog on and then jog slowly off. Slow walk off. And depending on who the referee is, they'll speed it up sometimes or not. They'll warn you. But as I tell the referees, the coaches and the players are going to go as much as you give them. They're going to take every bit of it and then some. And so it is definitely an issue and a problem. We did it against Iowa State. They had to call a timeout, and they got a 5-yard penalty in the game. They got to delay a game. So everybody's doing it. So certainly I think something is going to be looked at. That, and along with the injured player, that are falling down. I think maybe the SEC mentioned that or talked about it last week. So those are two things that I think are certainly prominent now in college football.
Did you know during the game how low the passing yardage total was? Because it felt like more. And then when I looked at the stats, it's at 66, and what was your reaction when you saw 66 passing yards?
Yeah, so going throughout the game, I knew it was definitely not great. Obviously, you can kind of tell. You have a little bit of feel, and then obviously, like, as you look up at the Jumbotron or the screen, whatever it is, like, usually they'll show. And, obviously I'll check just to, like, see where we are as an offense. And, obviously I could see that the passing yards was really low. After the first drive, I thought the first drive was great, and then after that we just kind of stalled throughout the game, especially me, being a little inaccurate or whatnot. But, it definitely wasn't a great day passing the ball.
Obviously a great day running the ball. I even woke up the next morning, they had the replay on, and I saw the touchdown again. But after a game like that, how inspired are you to get right back out there? Because, again, you guys were right there at that point.
Yeah, I feel that way about every game, that we've won or lost, is that, we've had a chance to win all of them, and we just got to find a way to win all of them. Going forward, these next 2 games, we got to find a way to, just stay consistent throughout the game, just avoid those long, stalls of just not being able to do anything offensively. You just got to get that first down and keep the chains moving and find a way to put points on the board. But, there was definitely some positives from the game. I thought we ran the ball really well, but like I said, we got to get better in the passing game.
Coach Satterfield said that Joe needs to be getting 4, 5, 6, 7 touches a game. Are you someone during the game will lobby for that to happen, or is it kind of you're in the moment, you're going to trust Coach and whatever play calls he makes?
Yeah, obviously going to trust Coach, but, he just said it, like, we're obviously going to try to get our guys the ball. And Iowa State was a great pass defense, but, moral of the story is we got to find a way to get the playmakers the ball, especially, Joe's a phenomenal tight end, so we got to find a way to, like Coach said, 6, 7, 8 touches a game would be great for him.
They're likely to drop 8 also. Just for those that aren't in your head, what does that look like when you're trying to throw the ball?
Especially when you're trying to throw it deep. Obviously, they're all sinking and, trying to take that away from you. Obviously, that's why they do it, is so they can have more guys in the passing, defense. So, like I said, we just got to find a way to find the holes in their defense, and, whenever they do play man coverage against us, find a way to win. And I got to, be accurate with the ball and see what happens. But really just give our guys a chance to go make some plays, and we'll see what happens.
With you guys being one game away from bowl eligibility, like, what do you feel like the vibe is like in the locker room amongst the players right now?
Obviously disappointed, because we feel like we could already have won 6, 7, 8 games. So, I think that we've had a chance to win every single game. So, we're obviously disappointed, but we know what this team can be, and, we can finish strong. So, really just preaching that message to the team. And, we're only guaranteed 2 more opportunities with this team. So, really just playing for that guaranteed 3rd opportunity. And, we'll see what happens. But if we just go out there and play like we know that we can, we'll be fine.
And to copycat what's successful, how do you break teams out of that drop coverage? I know you ran it a bunch with a lot of success, and it still didn't seem to break Iowa State from what they wanted to do.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. Obviously, it was tough to gain traction on that field, so that's usually what you got to be able to do is just find holes in the zones. But obviously we weren't able to do that, and I wasn't accurate enough. Like we said, we should have had a lot more yards, but we just got to find a way to just hit those windows that are open, and that'll usually make them either come up a little bit more or whatnot. But I think we ran the ball really effectively, which will usually make defenses come down to, because you don't want to get ran all over either.
There's some injuries and red shirts with the receivers. Is there anyone that you're missing you'd like to see back out there, but they just can't come out?
I feel really confident with the guys that we have out there. Obviously, injuries are going to happen throughout the year, but we just got to find a way with the guys that are healthy to just get them the ball and find a way to make plays when we get the ball in our hands. And that's really it. There's nothing else really to it other than just get the guys that are injured healthy and banged up so we can get them back and finish out the season strong.
Does it feel like the drives are just really, really long, and it takes a lot of successful plays in order to get downfield? And how much pressure is there to have to convert on 3rd down like 3 or 4 times in a drive?
Yeah, obviously, everybody would just like to go out there for one play, throw a 75-yard touchdown, and then get off the field. But it's just not the reality of it. So definitely, going on those long drives they're tough on us, but they're even harder on the defense, especially when you can move the chains and find a way to put the ball in the end zone. But that's just the name of the game, is just finding a way to move the chains, whether that's 3, 4 downs, whatever it takes to get the sticks moving. But I feel like we did a great job, especially on the first drive of the game last week, and especially against West Virginia too on the first drive of the game. We just got to find a way to keep stacking those drives and just keep the chains moving.
Is it difficult to remind yourself that you're still a young quarterback? This is your first full season as a starter, so there's going to be some growing pains, but you have to fight with that, inner desire to be perfect. How do you find that balance of working through it?
Yeah, obviously, I'm still pretty young in the game, but nobody really cares. Obviously, I've been playing actually for, I guess quite a while now. A lot of people don't have the amount of games played that I do, but you just got to find a way to just, I guess, block out the noise of all the negativity and even the positivity, and just stay level-headed and just find a way to get better each week and really just put points on the board. And a lot of people don't tend to say too much, and you also feel better about it whenever you're winning. So, if we can get out of this little slump right here and just get back on track, I think it'll be good for us as a team. But really just, stay the course and realize that we are a really good team. And I just got to clean up the few mistakes, and I think we'll be much better off.
Corey, did it feel good to get kind of a heavy performance, heavy load game like that back under your belt and try to kind of put the team on your back a little bit?
Yeah, it always feels good to carry the ball. It felt great running behind those guys. They were doing a real good job blocking, and even the receivers were out there blocking. And me and Sorsby were competing that game. He was toting the ball too. He was fast. I never seen him run that fast. I always knew he was fast, but he was running real fast on that one touchdown.
Is that a friendly competition? Who got more? Obviously you want to win, but is he ribbing you a little bit that he got you by 21 yards?
Nah, shoot. Like you mentioned, we want to win. So if him rushing for 200 yards and getting the win is what we got to do, that's what we got to do.
As a leader on this team, what are you kind of intentionally doing during practice, during meetings, to try to say, hey, we have 2 games left. You guys can win 2 games, finish 7-5, and it can be a pretty good end of the season.
So just bringing my A game every day. I just try to encourage people, keep the energy up and let people know that we're still in this. Like, it's not over. And just constantly reminding people, constantly having high energy, because I feel like high energy is contagious.
Yards away from 1,000 on the ground on the year. You'd get back-to-back 1,000-yard rushing seasons. Sorry. What would that mean to you?
It would mean a lot to me. I think I would be like the 5th Bearcat in history to do that. It would mean a lot for me and the guys on this team, because I couldn't have did it without them.
You talked about, bringing the energy daily. You guys have 2 games left. How do you feel like the energy is amongst the other players right now?
I feel like the energy is high amongst the other players. We just had a leadership meeting yesterday between some of the seniors and stuff like that, and everybody was saying, like, each position group is ready to go out there and fight every day. And we were talking about how practice has to be intense and how everybody has to bring the energy, so everybody's on the same page and everybody knows that we have a chance.
Who's the most vocal in those meetings?
I would say the O-line. Kendra, he's very vocal. John Williams is very vocal. I'm vocal too also, but I would say those guys are the most vocal in those meetings.
What would it mean for you guys to get that next win, to be bowl eligible, especially, you staying through the coaching change and, being a senior and being a leader on the team?
It would mean a lot. Like I mentioned, me and these guys on the team worked hard, like very hard, to change what happened last year. Like, to turn that around, it would mean a lot.
You're ranked now on forced missed tackles, but you were like 2nd. Is it something you take pride in, lugging guys another extra couple yards with you?
Oh yeah, I definitely take pride in breaking tackles. I don't want to be an easy guy to tackle. So my goal every time is to not let one guy tackle me.
Fletch has been a big part of this team and leadership group for a while. How do you guys rally around him after a couple tough weeks and just let him know, hey, keep doing your thing and we got your back?
Just like my locker is like very close to Fletch, so every day I come in, I say what's up to him, and like, he's the greatest punter I know. Like, just let him know that, so that he knows, that he remembers that. Don't get down because of a couple mistakes. Like, you're him. Just constantly keep reminding him that.
While you're up there, talk about your relationship with Mike Warren. He is the last.
Oh yeah.
Back-to-back 1,000-yard season.
So Mike Warren is my guy. Throughout my recruiting process, like, I had a lot of contact with Mike Warren. I played the game with him a lot. I just played the new college football game with him 2 weeks or last week. Last week we were playing, and he beat me in overtime. But that's my guy, and it means a lot to even be mentioned in the same sentence with him, because that's somebody that I really looked up to throughout my recruiting process, and somebody that I still look up to today, just getting advice from him.
How much trash did Mike talk during that game? Mike?
Believe it or not, I was the one talking trash to him. Like, he didn't talk that much trash because I was beating him the whole game. And then in overtime, he threw an interception, and I picked it off, and I was about to score, and his guy hit my guy, and I fumbled, and he took it back and scored a touchdown and won the game. So, yeah, it was, and then he started talking trash. But, yeah, it was deserved. I deserved it at that point because I was egging him on the whole game.
Maybe the most angry person when you picked LSU out of high school?
Yeah, he let me have it a little bit, but like he understood, like, it was part of the journey, and he understood that, and that's what he says to me all the time. Like, shoot, every moment is happening for a reason. Like, it got you where you are now, and it's made me the person that I am today. So I needed that to become a better leader, a better person, and a better man.
Jared, take us through the growth of this defense as we've seen the season go on. I know there's been a couple bumps in the road, but you guys really seem to have come together and picked up the system and are playing a lot more as a unit now.
Yeah, like I said earlier in the season, I believe in the previous interview, when guys get that experience and that play time throughout the season, understand this game more and trusting, getting that confidence, the level of play for the defense and the standard that we have for each other continues to rise. So that's what the result.
Frustrating you don't have a second year to come back and not where you didn't have to do all the learning and all that stuff?
Yeah, I say it's a little bit frustrating. I feel as if with another year I'd be immensely successful. I feel like my skill level will probably rise, but I mean, you can only make do with what you have. So I'm glad that we're at the point that we're at right now.
What do you see out of Avery Johnson, another quarterback? I know they want to try to run him some, and you'll be one of the guys chasing him.
Yeah, he's an athletic guy. He's pretty fast. He probably runs like 22 miles per hour or something like that. He has a good arm. They have a good offense, and we're going to prepare for that.
Away from passing some pretty notable names in Cincinnati history for single-season sacks. What did you do this year to get even better? Even though you're a college veteran, you've played for a long time, what did you do to just take your game to the next level?
Just taking care of my body a little bit better, watching how the things that I eat, the way that I sleep, the things I do with Nico in the weight room as far as getting stronger and faster. And shout out to my coach, Coach Braz. He's developed me really well with obviously playing in your position. So it's just a combination of different things that put me in the right position to succeed.
In your college career, did that kind of click, that it was a lot of the small stuff that made the biggest difference in your journey?
I'd say probably my junior year. Just seeing the success I could have doing certain things different ways, I think that kind of pushed that to the front of my mind.
Have we seen the full Wolf come out yet?
No, not yet. There's still some time in the season. There's still opportunities to play, and I feel like I haven't played my best ball yet. So I'm excited to get that and put that on film.